making resolutions. It has to be something that's concrete. It has to be something that's set in stone, because otherwise, really and truly, what are you working towards? And so vision boards, quite put simply, are tools that help you to daily visualize your goals, all right? And visualize here is quite simple. It helps you to see your goals in a format that is on paper or in some other visible method. No, your goals and objectives should be SMART. So you shouldn't just put down anything on your vision board and say, okay, I have a vision board. Okay, I want to take the bus tomorrow morning, so I'm going to put that on the vision board. No, your visions, your goals, your objectives should be SMART. And by SMART, I mean specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, let's start off with this acronym. So specific, all right? You have to have a specific goal, which is something that you're working towards, all right? It has to be something that's detailed, something that's specific, something that you actually want to achieve, right? And it cannot be anything that's too vague. It has to be something that's clear-cut, and it's something that you really and truly want to set out to achieve, whether in the next year or the next 5 years or the next 10 years or whatever time frame you set on achieving that objective or goal. It should also be measurable. You know, it's something that you should be able to measure. For example, if you want 2 pairs of shoes, or if you want a house, which is 1 house, or if you want a car, which is 1 car, it should be something that's measurable, something that you can measure, all right? And again, it should not be vague. It should be achievable. It should be something that's not too way out there. For example, something that somebody else owns. You know, for example, somebody else's child or somebody else's spouse, or something that's, you know, not really achievable for the most part. It should be something that's achievable. It should also be realistic. You know, you can't put on your vision board that you want to grow wings, for example, and fly like a bird, all right? It has to be something that's realistic. And last but not least, T stands for time bound. It should be something that's bound to time. So for example, if you're putting it on your vision board, it should be something that you say, okay, I want to achieve this in the next year. I want to achieve this in the next 6 months. I want to achieve this in the next 2 to 3 years, that kind of thing. All right, so it should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and last but certainly not least, it should be bound to time. All right, so therefore it is important that prior to starting your board, you pray and you ask for God's wisdom, because 2020 and life in general has taught us that, you know, you really can't plan for the future, right? And so you have to set things in place first. And one of the main things that you set in place is through prayer. You have to place God before. You have to let God know that, okay, God, this is what I desire, this is who I am, but what are your views on it? What do you think I should aspire to? Is it something that you specifically want for me, or am I wasting my time, you know, desiring? So you put your stuff before God, and then you pray and you wait, because prayer is really communication. It's not just throwing things at him and leaving it like that, but it is actually communicating with him and letting him know that you are concerned about certain things, and you're asking him to reveal his vision and purpose for your life. Otherwise, you'll put everything down on your board, and at the end of the day, you get frustrated because they are not being achieved, because they are not according to his perfect will. All right? No, so we know what vision boards are, all right? So they're helping you to visually see your goals and objectives. And again, your goals and objectives should be SMART. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, what are they not? No, vision boards are not magic pills. They're not something that you take and automatically everything adjusts to how you want it to adjust. All right, so in order for your board to work, you have to work. You have to put in work. And work here can be spiritual as well as physical work. So you can't just put it on your board and say, okay, let me leave it alone and it will work itself out. It doesn't work like that, all right? You have to put down stuff after you have prayed and then do the necessary work that you need to do. So for example, if you put on your board that you want to lose weight, you can't just put that on the board and then just sit down and say, okay, weight loss, come to me. And then you eat all that you want to eat, for example, and then expect that your body will automatically adjust to losing weight. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to necessarily put in the work that you want to see happen. Now, we know what vision boards are. We also know what vision boards are not, all right? And so now we will look at why you need to do a vision board, or why it's recommended that you do a vision board, all right? And so we started out by saying that life has taught us that we can't predict the future. And so the statement is refreshed here. So we see here that life has taught us well that we cannot predict the future. Nevertheless, it does not mean that we cannot still be proactive about many things. All right, so even though we can't predict the future, just as how 2020 has taught us, we can still put things in place to ensure that our lives are not wasted, all right? Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that, yes, we have to work with the hand that we are dealt with. We have to turn our lemons into lemonade. We have to do things still to make sure that we have a fruitful existence. And so the next bullet says, in fact, we are told to, as the theme suggests, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And that is the entire passage from Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 to 3. And so again, why do a vision board? So this is a continuation from the previous slide. So vision boards help you to remain focused about your goals and to better manifest them. And we'll go into that a little further when we look at vision boards or demos of vision boards. So we'll see how they help you to remain focused and help you also to better manifest your goals. Vision boards also help you to know your needs and wants vis-a-vis what somebody else desires for you. Because remember, you're starting out with prayer, right? And so you're able to know what the Lord's plans are for you. You're able to know what his thoughts are for you, because he'll eventually lead you in that path, right? He'll eventually lay on your heart certain things that he wants for you to accomplish. And so you will know, once you put them on the board, over time, you will know, okay, is this serving my life or is this not serving my life? So they will help you to know your needs and wants versus what somebody else desires for you. They also keep you inspired. So if your goals do not inspire you, go back to the drawing board. And the drawing board here, of course, is prayer. So if you have a goal and it's not inspiring you at all, you're not feeling motivated by that goal, you're not feeling inspired by that goal, it means that you need to go back to the drawing board, all right? You need to reassess that goal. And then last but not least, they help to boost your faith as you document on paper. So vision boards are really documenting your goals and objectives so that you can literally see them in front of you. And as the scripture in Job 22 verse 28 says, you shall decree a thing and it shall be established for you. Now, decreeing here is actually writing stuff. When you decree something, you actually write it down. You actually have it in print. And when you declare something, you're actually speaking it out. So here, decreeing can lead to declaring. So once you have it written down, you can always look back on it and say, Lord, this is what I want. I thank you for this. I ask you for this, that kind of thing. All right? Are there any questions thus far? All right, no response probably means no. All right, so silent means consent, so I'll continue. All right, when to do a vision board. No, I generally recommend doing a vision board at the start of the new year. And of course, if you want to do a vision board at the start of the new year, I recommend that you start planning for your vision board from before the year starts, obviously. So from about October, November, etc., you start planning for your board. What am I going to put on my board? Because you have already gone through almost a complete year. And so you know the things that you do not want to achieve in the coming year. And you also know the things that you have already accomplished throughout the year, which you will of course not put on your board. Because if it's already achieved, there's no need to put it on your board. All right, so I recommend starting one at the beginning of a new year. And starting here means that you actually start put things on paper, or you start putting things electronically. And we'll go to that when we look at the different types of vision boards. Now, your vision board is not something that should be static. So just because you put it on the thing now doesn't mean that you have to leave it there. It is something that you should update over time. So over time, you update your board, for example, removing goals that are already achieved and also superimposing or placing new goals on top of those that have already been achieved. Now, the prerequisites for starting a board, of course, are prayer. So you need to start off with prayer, and that is in bold because you need to pray to God, you need to ask Him what are His plans for you. Other prerequisites depend on the type of board that you have. For example, if you have a virtual board, you'll need, of course, a computer or other related device. You will also need a vision board app, which you can download, or a less complicated one would be a Microsoft Word, for example, Microsoft PowerPoint, etc. You will also need photos to represent your goals, which can be downloaded from the internet. And then if you're going the physical route, if you're looking at a physical vision board, then of course you'll need scissors, you'll need cartridge paper or other paper, and you can even get creative too and cut apart a cardboard box and just use one of the sides as your base. You can also need glue, magazines for photos, or you can simply download and print from the internet. And then you also need somewhere to mount your board, whether it's on a wall in your room or a wall in your living room or some other part of your house. All right, so it's not something that is really complicated or too expensive that you have to break the bank for, basically. Now, we're looking at demos of vision boards. All right, so let's look at some demos of vision boards. Now, if we look at the first one here, we can see here that this person who made this vision board here, they are envisioning themselves in a committed relationship. So we see here a man and we see here a woman. All right, so they're envisioning themselves in a relationship. We can also see that they're envisioning themselves as part of a family. All right, so we see here the man, the woman, and then we see also the children. We also, more importantly, see that they have God at the top of their board. So we see here that they're spiritually focused. We also see here that they have the word worth here, which signifies that they're looking to improve their self-worth, etc. And then we also see here that they're looking at being motivated, inspired. So it's inspired. So it is saying that it's your year to shine. So they're telling themselves that this is my year to shine. And then live your dreams. So they're motivating words here that will encourage them as they go along. We also see here that they have, I guess this means friendships of some, friendships. So they're aspiring towards having wholesome friendships. We also see that they want a car, and we can also see other pictures here, probably body image improvement, that kind of thing. I'm not sure what this relates to. And then we also, well, work and wealth is one. So we can see here that they're aiming for something related to work and wealth. Over here now, we have another format of a vision board. So we see here that this is just a rough template. So you can either do a vision board like this, or you can do it like this. And so you have the year in the middle here, 2021, and then you have your dreams over here, and then I want to try, and then you have your goals, and then what inspires you, inspiration, and then places I will go for those who are willing to travel. All right, now look at this other vision board. So we see here one vision board, which is quite lofty, and it's the objectives are quite achievable. You know, there are stuff that people want to achieve. And so we see here that this person wants a simplified life. And then we see here Also persons who is going to stop me, you know, so they're saying that nothing is going to stop me from achieving my goals. So they're motivating themselves. And then it says clear your mind here. So every time they look at this board and let's say they're confused or they're troubled in some sort of way, the reminder is here, clear your mind, right? They're also aspiring for happiness, right? Which is to me kind of vague, but I guess you can break this down a little more in terms of what kind of happiness you want to see. Because happiness by itself, the word happiness is kind of vague. And remember, your goals have to be specific and it has to be measurable and achievable, realistic and time bound. All right, so break down words like happiness and stuff like that. Just tell exactly what you want. Now we see here they want rest and recharge. So it's probably somebody who is overworked and so they feel that they want rest. They want to, you know, feel some sort of relief from stress, that kind of thing. So they want to rest and recharge. So they put that down on their board. They also put down strive for growth, not perfection. So it's somebody who's probably struggling with feelings of perfection or wanting to feel perfect. And so they're saying, okay, look at this board and say, I'm striving for growth, not necessarily perfection. I can grow and not be perfect. I'm a human being. I'm allowed to make mistakes. But at the same time, once I'm growing, then that's still good for me. Also, they put on their board that they become what they think about. So every time they look at this board, they'll remember, okay, purge my thoughts, renew my mind, because I become what I think about. So if I think I'm a failure and I constantly think I'm a failure, then eventually you'll be a failure. So if you want to overcome thoughts of inadequacy, etc., you can also put this on your board, because remembering you become what you think about. This is somebody also probably struggling with saving money. And so they put this on their board to remind them that I need to save money. Whenever I earn money or whenever I get money by some sort, I need to put something aside towards saving for the future, investing for the future. All right. And then also the only journey is the one within. The come back and then be yourself. So it is reminding them here that they need to be themselves and also find you. And they also want to be a spirited woman and they want to live in the sunshine. So it's somebody who aspires for purpose, somebody who aspires for survival, you know, in every sense of the word. All right, some more vision boards. All right, so if you look at this vision board now, we will see Oprah here. First of all, she's the one glaring at me, and we know what Oprah represents. We know that Oprah represents wealth. We know that represents success in the natural sense. And so this person is probably aiming for success and wealth. And so they put Oprah there as their inspiration. Your inspiration might be Michelle Obama. Your inspiration might be somebody that you see is doing it, whether in the spiritual sense of the word, a preacher that you aspire to put on your board to say, I want to be like that person. It doesn't mean that you want to necessarily change who you are to fit into the person or who they are, but it just means that there is something about that person, whether the person is a public speaker, whether the person is confident, whether the person has wealth, whether spiritual or physical, whether the person is a good speaker or preacher, a good friend, that kind of thing, and you aspire towards that, you can always put an image of that person on your board, because that is something that you want to represent. And so we see here that this person also wants to be a leader. They also want to inspire others, right? I'm not sure what they meant by spirit here, because this is quite vague and can mean multiple things. They also put here that they want multiple streams of income. So we see here that they're not comfortable with just probably working a 9 to 5, but they want different opportunities for earning incomes. And then we have here that the person is motivating themselves to create the life that they were born to live. We also see here that they desire to bless others. We also see, I'm not sure what this means, so this is quite vague, but I guess it probably means something to them. We also see here that they aspire to have increased faith, and so they put this on their board. Also fun and joy. We also see that they want friends and they want to balance. They want balance between friends and other aspects of their lives. We also see that they want financial freedom, which ties in with the whole multiple streams of income down here. And then we also see that they want a healthy body. Again, a healthy body is vague. So remember, when you're putting down stuff, be careful not to put down stuff that are too vague, because a healthy body can mean different things to different people. All right, so you can put probably weight loss, or lose 100 pounds, or lose 20 pounds, or gain 10 more pounds, that kind of thing. That would be more realistic. And then when you're putting it down, you can also put, let's say you want to gain 10 pounds, gain 10 pounds by, say, now it's January, by say April 30, somewhere thereabout. All right, so put a time to it, because it has to be time bound. We also see that this person aims to be philanthropic, and so they want to give back, right? And so they have put that on their board. They also want relationships, and that again can mean many things to different people, because they have friends here which are also relationships. So I guess this is probably romantic relationship, I'm not sure. But they also put here, Live Your Best Life, which is Joel Osteen's book. And so we see here that this person is inspiring themselves to live the best life that they possibly can. To also feed their mind. They want to be able to read more. And so, you know, feed their mind more. We also see that they want a house. So they put the picture of the house that they desire. It might not necessarily be this exact house that they want, but they put a house nonetheless that they feel will inspire them and get them energized to achieve it. They also put family on it, right? And then we see here, God makes all things possible. So putting it here beside the house might be they're struggling with feelings of inadequacy, feeling, oh, okay, I can't get this particular house, or a house that looks like this. But at the end of the day, when I look at it, I will see God makes all things possible. All right. So whenever you're feeling inadequate, or feeling that you can't achieve, at least they will look at it and they see God makes all things possible. Yeah, this is achievable. This is something that I can actually attain, or aspire to, or something that I can achieve. And even more vision boards. All right, so we have looked at some vision boards before, and now we're looking at 2 more vision boards. So one thing that we can see is that our vision boards that I showed you before, they're quite specific. All right, persons are detailing exactly what they want. They have a method to what they are putting down on their board, and not just putting stuff on their board just because, all right, for the sake of putting stuff on the board. No, if we look at the board on the top left-hand corner, assuming it's also your left-hand corner, all right, and so I'll hover the mouse over it so that you will know which one I'm talking about. And it's also the only one at the top, so it shouldn't be hard to locate visually. All right, so the one thing that we can clearly see is that this person wants to expand their reach all over the world to those who need it, right? So we see here that there are a group here, and they want to do more in the community. They want to do more in the world. They want to do more for, you know, everyone that they may come in contact with. We also see here they put $100 US on their board, which means that it's something synonymous with them making money, you know, throughout the period of time that they're looking to make these funds. So they're putting the money on the board to say, yes, I want to make money. And that's self-explanatory. And then it says here, I want to make new friends who will support, or we rather want to make new friends who will support our mission, right? Again, because it's a group, they put everything together as a unified front. And then we also see here that it's probably a volunteer organization, bearing in mind the shirt that this young lady has on says hope. Or maybe it's just a shirt that she got some other way. But either way, we can see here that she's benefiting from the process. So they're looking to get probably students in, or children that they can relate to. Also, they're saying that we want an amp up reading between the WINES 2020, all right? And then a new cost-saving office space. And so it is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, but the only thing is that it's not time bound, right? And I'm not seeing a year on this vision board. I'm assuming it's 2020, but I could be assuming incorrectly. And so they put their desired office space on the board here so that it can show that this is the type of office space that they want. It's something that's spacious. It's something that has parking space, because we can look around it and say parking space. It's something that can accommodate, I guess, if they want to entertain, they can also entertain persons in there. And then if we look at the next vision board that's being demoed, we will see here that this person is also spiritually oriented as one that we had seen prior. And so this person is encouraging themselves to discover their passion, right? We can also see here that they, I guess, want to read more. I'm not sure. The New York Times, it says they probably want to be a bestseller. They're probably an author and want to be a New York Times bestseller. We also see here that they want millions. We can also infer from this money here that they want to be a multimillionaire, because it's not just one stack of money, but they have millions. So they want to be a multimillionaire. And we also see here that the person wants healthy lifestyle by the choice of meals that are here. And we can also see that the person wants to lose weight probably, or to live a healthier life. And so we see here that the person is exercising here. So it might not be them exactly, but at least they put an image to show that they're working out and they're also eating healthy. We also see here that they want empowerment. So they want to feel empowered, and they also want a living environment that's clean and that's wholesome. We also see here that they want to be spirit-filled, and so that's that. Also, we see the Bible here, so I guess they want to read more of the word. They also want happiness, they want freedom, and among other things, they want to have global reach. All right, so it's somebody who is very specific about what they want, and so they put it on their board. Now, your vision board is finished. Now what? All right, so first of all, we started off with prayer, and so we have to continue prayer throughout the process. All right, and so your vision board is finished. Now what? It's not just done. You have to pray over your board. Once you place stuff on your board, you have to pray over the board and pray that the Lord will help you to achieve that which you have placed on your vision board. You also have to place it where you can see it. All right, so it makes no sense to create a board and just leave it. And that's why I recommend the physical board as opposed to electronic board. Electronic board, when you do it on a computer, it's there. Unless you're going to print it off and post it somewhere, you have to, I'd recommend rather that you do a physical vision board, because at least you can mount it somewhere and you can see it, as opposed to having it on a device where you only see it when you turn on your device. The only way it's beneficial to have a virtual board is if you're going to set it as, let's say, your screensaver. So every time you turn on your phone, you see it, or if you turn on your laptop or your tablet or whatever other device, you see it right in front of you. Otherwise, if you just want to leave it stored in My Documents or on the desktop, for example, then it really makes no sense. It has to be somewhere where you can actually visually see your goals daily and your objectives. Now, the third one is that you have to daily take steps towards achieving those that are within your reach. Now, on the vision boards that I showed you, we see somebody who desires spirituality. They want to be spirit-filled, right? And so if you put on your board that you want to be spirit-filled, remember I said initially that vision boards are not magic pills, all right? That's one of the first things I said, that they're not magic pills, and you have to do the work. So if you put on your board, for example, that you want to be spirit-filled, you have to ensure that daily you get up and you read your Bible. Daily you get up and you sing a few choruses. Daily you get up. If you want to turn on YouTube and listen to your choruses, then you can also do that. You also have to ensure that you pray daily, because that will also help you to be spirit-filled. You also have to ensure that you consecrate yourself daily. If it is that you want to lose weight or gain weight, you have to ensure that you either sign up for a gym, or you take the less expensive route of just exercising in your room or in your backyard or on your porch or wherever the case may be. But you have to put in the work. Otherwise, it will just be some visions or goals out there, and you end up having finished a year and not achieve anything. And then last but not least, you have to be excited. If your goals do not excite you, then it makes no sense, because every time you look at it, you will think, oh Lord, just another thing, just another boring thing I have to look at. All right, but it has to be something that actually excites you, something that gets you inspired, something that gets you motivated, something that gets you intrigued, you know, something that makes you want to get up and do the work. Again, if it is that you want to do more saving, for example, like the person who said they wanted to save more, you have to go out there and actually put things in place to ensure that you save. If it's even $1, $1,000,001 is equal to $1,000,000. So whatever you can put down, you have to ensure that you put that down in savings. If it is that you want to walk a mile or two, you have to actually get up and walk the mile or two, and not just put it down on your board and leave it and look at it daily and think that it will just immediately fall into place. All right? And so before we get to question and answers, I will go over one more time, and not in detail, but just to express what we looked at tonight. All right, so in summary, we looked at vision boards, what they are, and we say that your vision boards are tools that help you to daily visualize your goals. So once you put it down, then you can every day look at it and see what your goals are and try to achieve them. Your goals and objectives should be SMART. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And so it is important, therefore, that you start off with prayer. And then also what they're not, they're magic pills. So in order for your goals and objectives to work, or your board in particular to work, you have to actually put in the work, whether spiritual work or physical work. And then again, life has taught us that we cannot predict the future. However, we can put things in place to ensure that we do not live a wasted life. You do a vision board to, in summary, keep yourself focused, to help you to know your needs and wants vis-a-vis what someone else wants for you. You also do a vision board to keep you inspired. And again, if your vision boards don't excite and inspire you, then you need to go back to the drawing board, which is prayer. And they also help to boost your faith as you document on paper what it is that you want to achieve. Again, there are two types of vision boards. There are virtual vision boards, which are on computers, tablets, phones, etc., which of course you can print off and then mount it, or you can have the actual physical vision board, which is where you actually get the cartridge paper or whatever other kind of paper, and you paste your photos, etc., on it that reflect your goals and objectives on that paper, and then mount it where you can daily see them. All right, when to do a vision board. All right, so recommend starting a vision board at the beginning of the year. And of course, if you're going to start at the beginning of the year, you have to start planning from, say, October, November, because you're close to the end of an old year, so to speak, and you're also close to the beginning of a new year. Prerequisites for starting a vision board. Number one is prayer. So don't start anything without praying. You have to pray first and ask God's guidance on what you should put on your board. Other prerequisites, again, just to recap what I just said, depend on the type of board that you are planning on doing. Now, in terms of a physical vision board, you will need, of course, your scissors, your cartridge paper, or any kind of paper. You'll also need glue, preferably Ponal glue, which is the white glue. You'll also need magazines for photos, or you can just download them from the internet and print them and post them on your vision board. And then you also need somewhere to mount your board, because remember, you have to be able to see your board on a daily basis. If you get up, you have to be able to see it, and you have to say, this is what I want to accomplish, the Lord willing. All right, now we also go through demoing some vision boards, and we showed you what persons desired, and so they placed them on their vision board. Some of them are quite complete in terms of you're seeing the board completely filled with dreams and ideas and objectives, while there are others which are not so populated, but yet still you can still see what it is that they aspire towards achieving. No, in terms of this one, we can again see what the persons are aspiring towards. And then this one is the same thing. So again, this person opted to use tape, cellophane tape, or any other kind of tape can be used. You can also use the thumb tacks as opposed to using glue. And you can see here the type of material that they use is also dependent on preference. And then last but not least, once you have completed your board, then you need to pray over your board. You need to place it where you can see it. And then you also need to daily take steps towards achieving those which are within your reach. So if you want to get A on your exam, for example, for those who are studying, you can't just sit down and say, okay, I'm putting A on my exam on the board. You have to be specific about it. Put A on your the courses that you're doing. Let's say you're doing I don't know, a science program or a math program or something, and you just put it on it. I want A in all my courses. But at the same time, you have to ensure that you get up and you study, and you also make sure that you put the steps towards achieving those grades that you desire. And again, last but not least, you should be excited about the process. It shouldn't be something that's a boring chore, but it should be something that inspires you and gets you excited. All right, questions and answers, if there are any at this time. And I noticed that some other persons came on after, so I hope that you would have gotten enough of this to carry you through. Are there any questions? If there are comments, you might not have a question, but if you have a comment based on what you have heard, is vision boarding something new to you? If you don't want to talk, you can also type it in the chat and they will be addressed after. All right, if there are no questions or comments, I want to thank everyone for joining us. It seems that everyone would have learned something, and I hope that you will take whatever you have learned with you throughout the rest of 2021. Remember that your vision boards are not something that are static. They are things that you update from time to time. All right, so you start it off now and then you update it as you go along. Because if you achieve a goal or objective, of course, you will take that off. And if it's something that you have glued on, then it's best to just superimpose something, place something else over that so that you do not necessarily have to damage the surface, all right? So your goals are not lofty, they should not be lofty rather, but they should be specific, they should be measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, all right? And once you set them on your vision board, you place your vision board where you can see it every single day, and once you look at your board, you should be able to thank the Lord and give the Lord thanks and praise for helping you to achieve your objectives that you have placed on it. No, I thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you for taking the time to join us. If there are no questions or comments, thank you, Donnie Johnson, for indicating that the information was very useful. And I thank you again also for commenting. All right, and I'm glad to have shared with you. I hope that you will also put in practice what it is that you have learned tonight. At this time, we'll be closing. If there are no more comments, I'll wait a couple more seconds for comments or questions. And if there
I have a question.
Yes, Sister Deborah.
Earlier you said that you should start with prayer. So I was thinking if it's a case where you continually go and ask God, you know, to show you what He has planned for you. Or you just ask once.
No, if you notice that I indicated, and thanks for that question, that's a very good question. At the beginning, I mentioned starting with prayer, and at the end, I also mentioned that when your vision board is completed, so to speak, then you have to also go back and pray about your vision board. Now, before you start the vision board, it's important to, and let me reshare that particular slide. It's important to pray about the board before you start it. All right? Because if you don't pray about the board, then you'll put stuff on your board that are really not God's intention for you to achieve, right? Whether it is something that somebody else has or something that you feel you're better off having or whatever the case may be. All right, so the first thing that you have to do is to pray about it. Say, God, what would you have me to do? In other words, what do you think I should accomplish throughout this year? I mean, we had so many plans for 2020, and 2020 COVID came and told us that we can't really plan, right, on our own. We have to depend completely on God. So the first thing that we have to do is start off with prayer and allow God to help us to put on the board what it is that we should put on the board, and not just something that we think that we should put on it because it's something that we desire, or which is somebody else have something and we covet it, and so we're going to put it on the board because we want it to, right? And then throughout the process, after you have prayed, so throughout the process now, so let's say your desire is for a car, hypothetical now, right? And you pray about the car and you say, Lord, do you desire for me to have a car? And while you're waiting, you put the car on the board, whatever model or make you put on the board, right? While you're going along every day, you will have your board mounted, so you will see that car right in front of you. And you look on the car and you say, Lord, if it's your will for me to have this car, you will make it happen for me. And remember, when you pray, things don't just happen immediately. Sometimes they happen years down the road. But you still have to keep praying and thanking God for it. So as daily as you see the car, you just thank the Lord for that car. And if it's not his will for you to get the car, I believe you'll get a revelation on it that it's not his will for you to get it. And if it is, then it will keep impressing on your heart that that is the car that's directly for you. All right? And then you continually pray, and as you achieve that car, for example, let's say you achieve that car, you take that no off your board and you put something else and you pray over that new thing, that the Lord will help you to achieve it according to his perfect will. Remember, we're working with his perfect will and not just his permissive will, all right? Because, for example, if a 6-year-old wants a razor blade, they can get the razor blade and it will cut them up at 6 years old, but if they get it at 16, it might be more impactful. So sometimes don't get discouraged just because you put something on the board today and you don't see it come through tomorrow. All right, remember, keep praying, and if it's something that's within your reach, keep putting in the work. If you want to save more, save more. If you want to exercise more, exercise more. If you want to get good grades, study more. If you want to get a good job, apply for a job, and so forth. Hope that answers the question, Sister Deborah.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, any more questions or comments?
Yes, Sister Romay, Sister Carrie here.
Hi, Sister Carrie. Thanks for joining us.
You are very welcome. Greetings to Bishop Thorpe, all my wonderful brethren. Greetings to our President, Sister Romay, and everybody. While you were presenting, Sister Romay, I thought about something that I practice. I usually write, like I will have a to-do list. So I have a book that is set aside for like all the tasks that I would like to accomplish. Sometimes I'll set reminders in my phone and so on, but I find that writing it down in the book, this particular book, it helps me. And like each time I would achieve something that I set out to do, I would tick it. And usually they are time bound, they are specific, they are smart and achievable. But then what the presentation impressed upon me is that I was there thinking about the scripture that says, when the Lord was teaching the Shema, and he said to them, when you rise up in the morning and you look up, you should see the 2 greatest commandments. Love the Lord your God. You should put it on your hand, put it on your forehead, all around. And when you mentioned us putting up the vision board in such a place where we'll always see it and be reminded about it. What came to me is that it's not just enough to write it in a book, because sometimes the book will be closed or you may not have it where you are at the particular time. But if you can put it in a place where it will be visible, it will be hoisted, and you'll be able to look at it every day, just as how I would tick off the stuff that I achieve and it motivates me to keep going at the others. Then looking at it now, I'll see where I am. Oh, I need to work on that. I need to put some more effort into that. I need to study more for that, and so on. It will motivate me to be able to achieve those objectives. So thanks for that.
You're welcome, Sister Carrie. And that's a really good point. And I agree with you in terms of putting it in a book, because journaling also accompanies vision boarding. So what you can do is don't discard your book that you have written stuff in or that you have ticked off stuff in. What you can do, because you're superimposing stuff over achieved or accomplished goals over time, you might lose track of what you have already achieved. And so the important thing is, after you achieve something, if you have a journal or just a little regular book, you can write down in the book, for example, I accomplished this on XYZ date. All right, and you thank the Lord for that. And then as you accomplish more, you superimpose new goals on top of that and keep it on. At the end of the year now, you can always start a completely new board. So over time, you will be able to see your board for 2021, 2022, 2023, and so forth. And you'll also have your little journal to show that, okay, in the year 2021, the Lord allowed me to get this, allowed me to get that, allowed me to get that. And then sometimes you would even look at it and say there are some things that you never would have accomplished on your own. And so you can't help but giving God thanks. And the key to getting more is to always be grateful. Gratitude allows you to get more out of God. So as you write it down, it gives you even more impetus to be grateful to Him and also to thank Him. And just to recap here, as you were talking, I went back to this slide, which says the scripture in Job chapter 22, verse 28. You shall decree a thing and it shall be established for you. And so often we get caught up, like I said earlier, in saying things. But if we write it down, write it on stones, write it on tables, write it in a vision board format, using colorful images, because images should excite you. If you see the image, it shouldn't be something that's too dull and boring and don't want you to look at it, but it should be something that inspires you. And so it says, you shall decree a thing. Once you decree it, then you'll be forced to say it. So once you see, for example, whatever it is that you desire, whether it is to be spirit-filled, like the person said, then it will move you to be excited about it. It will move you to open your mouth and praise and thank the Lord. It will move you to start, reading the word, to start doing whatever it takes to accomplish that. All right. Are there any more comments or questions? All right. If there are not, then at this time, I thank everyone again for joining us, and I will now ask our pastor to close in prayer for us.